There's nobody that ever beat me playing cards. The only one that ever beat me was myself, with my bad habits. But when I get to playing like I was on stroke this tournament, I really believe that no one can play with me on a daily basis.
In the annals of poker history, one hand stands out as a seismic shockwave that reverberated through the poker world. Stu Ungar's legendary masterpiece. With unfathomable audacity and uncanny instincts, Ungar executed a mind-boggling play that left even the most seasoned players in awe and redefined the boundaries of the game and brought an infamous poker rivalry to an end. This is the story of the hand that shocked the poker world. In 1990, Stu Ungar stood on the brink of history, with a chance to claim his third WSOP main event title. With a commanding chip lead on the penultimate day of the tournament, it seemed like victory was within his grasp. When the tournament was set to resume the next day, anticipation turned to worry as Stu was nowhere to be found. His absence sent ripples of unease, and his friend, Billy Baxter, who had staked him into the event, embarked on a frantic search for the missing poker legend. Finally, they discovered Stu Ungar in his hotel room, lying unconscious on the floor. The air was thick with tension and fear as the truth emerged. He had overdosed. Rushed to the hospital, his dreams of WSOP glory came crashing down in a haze of uncertainty. The once dominant chip stack that held the promise of victory now dwindled away, blind by blind, as Ungar's seat remained empty at the poker table. He ultimately finished in 9th place for $25,000. It was a humiliating experience for the legendary player. The winner of the main event that year was Mansoor Mathloubi, who defeated the formidable Hans Lund to take home the prestigious title and $835,000 in prize money. Mansoor's performance throughout the tournament was nothing short of incredible, leaving spectators in awe of his poker prowess. But he did not stop there. Just a few months later, he continued to impress by claiming a remarkable second-place finish in another high-stakes $10,000 tournament, earning an additional $160,000. As news of his back-to-back success spread, the poker world began buzzing with excitement, and comparison started to surface. Mathloubi's fearless and aggressive playing style earned him the moniker the new Stu Ungar. Mathloubi's meteoric rise to poker stardom left a recovering Stu Ungar both envious and incensed. Driven by a burning desire to reclaim his poker throne and make a bold statement to the world, Stu Ungar was determined to show that he still possessed the unmatched skills that had made him a poker legend. Despite his absence from the final day of the tournament, Stu Ungar staunchly asserted that had he been able to compete, he would have effortlessly outplayed Mansoor Mathloubi and the other remaining contenders to seize the coveted title of the world champion once more. In a bold move, Stu threw down the gauntlet, challenging Mathloubi to a high-stakes, winner-take-all showdown. The stakes were set at an intense $50,000, a sum that reflected the intensity of their animosity and the desire for supremacy on the poker stage. Mathloubi, undaunted by the confrontation, readily accepted the invitation to prove himself against the poker legend. The match occurred at Binion's Horseshoe during the 1992 World Series. Regrettably, there were no cameras to capture the moment, leaving us only with the accounts passed down through spoken testimony. As the two players settled into their seats, a palpable sense of intensity hung in the air. More than just money was at stake. It was a clash of egos and a battle for poker supremacy. Mathloubi seized an early advantage, but the relentless aggression of Stu Ungar soon pulled him back into the fray. The chips stood at $60,000 for Ungar and $40,000 for Mathloubi when the final hand unfolded. The blinds were 200-400 with no ante. Ungar had the button and he raised to $1,600 with 10-9 offsuit. Mathloubi called with 4-5 off. The flop was a rainbow of 7-3-3. Ungar was known for his overbets sometimes, but on this flop, he chose an unusual moment to utilize this play, betting $6,000 into a pot of $3,200. Mathloubi, with just a gutshot draw, made what is a terrible call, assuming he didn't have a read that Ungar was light and had a plan. On 4th Street, a king came off and both players checked. On the river, a queen came, and Matlubi, smelling weakness in Stewie, bet his last $32,400. Stu Ungar was not renowned for engaging in table talk during his poker matches. He was more likely to yell at the dealer than to chat with his opponent to get a read. When Stu did speak during a hand, it was rarely to discuss the weather or make casual conversation. Instead, his words carried the weight of authority and dominance. Stewie looked right through Mansoor, and within 10 seconds he said, "You have 4-5 or 5-6, I'm gonna call you with this." Stewie then flipped up 10-9 off and called the $32,400 bet with merely 10 high. Stu Ungar's unexpected call left Matlubi stunned and reeling with disbelief. In a moment of utter defeat, Matlubi felt as though a relentless bulldozer had mercilessly flattened him. The weight of that critical hand had a profound impact on Matlubi, and he recalled, when a guy makes a call like that against you, you just give up. It's like he's drained all the energy from your sails. The experience left Matlubi emotionally crushed, and he realized that trying to face Stu Ungar in a heads-up, no-limit hold'em battle was an insurmountable challenge, at least on that particular day, if not for the foreseeable future. In the aftermath of that intense showdown, Matlubi made a difficult decision. He resolved that he could no longer face Stu Ungar heads-up in the poker arena. That pivotal hand proved to be the last time the two poker giants engaged in a one-on-one confrontation, bringing an end to their head-to-head battles forever. During the critical hand, Stu Ungar found himself in a situation where a standard continuation bet on the flop would have sufficed, but he opted for an unusually larger sizing. Despite the aggressive sizing, Matlubi decided to make a somewhat optimistic call, taking into account the metagame dynamics of the time. In the context of the era, calling on certain board textures like this one represented holding monster hands such as trips or boats. To balance this range, Matlubi chose a gutshot straight draw, giving himself the potential to improve to a stronger hand on later streets. As the turn card fell, both players checked, a decision that seemed reasonable for Matlubi given the range advantage Ungar might have after his massive flop bet. Stu Ungar, on the other hand, might have been concerned that Matlubi had a strong hand after his call on the flop. When the river arrived, Matlubi found himself with his weakest holding, making it an ideal candidate for a bluff. However, his decision to overbet the pot by more than 2x was highly polarizing, revealing either a bluff or an extremely strong hand. This overbet might have been the factor that ultimately led to his downfall. Ungar, astute as ever, likely sensed the situation and recognized that Matlubi's big flop call, followed by a turn check, appeared weak. Had Matlubi held a monster hand, he might have bet smaller to get value. Despite the intricate mind games at play, Ungar's instincts kicked in, hinting that something was amiss. In the end, this complex hand showcased the depth of both players' strategic thinking and the intricate dance of poker psychology. For more such amazing poker stories, click the links in the description.